don't let your company take advantage of you, because you can walk out and find something new, especially if you have the qualifications to be here. What's up guys, it's Joseph. I'm from London. I'm an English teacher here in Shenzhen, China, and you're watching the Blackpats. So why I came to China, that's a long sort of story. So to give you a bit of background about myself, I studied animation at the University of the Arts London, and I really enjoyed that course and I really enjoyed being creative. After university, I graduated in 2017. Not much was happening with me in animation and I felt a little bit lost. While I was in university, I had a lot of friends that were Asian and some were from China, and I figured I could save money while I was here. So this brought me along to China. Applying was a weird sort of thing because there were so many job offers from many different places all around China that were from Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, all of the other places, but I was dead set on Shenzhen because at the time I had been watching Serpent ZA and some other YouTubers, and they just showed me how cool this place is. It's like the technology capital of the world, and I was really dead set on here. And everybody would say no to me when it came to getting stuff for Shenzhen, but anywhere else it was fine. Really, I came to China to save money, have some adventures, and also maybe start doing some creative things because there's a lot of opportunities here. I guess since I'm 4 months into this journey, I can talk a little bit about the stages of adapting to being abroad. So I came here, I would say exactly 4 months ago, the 16th of February. And initially when I came here, everything was amazing. They picked me up from the airport and they thought I was crazy because every 5 seconds I'll be like, wow, look at that, wow, look at this. Like there's skyscrapers here, they're bigger, like London, people have an idea of London being like this new place, but if you look at the architecture in London, it's very old. So when I came to Shenzhen and I saw how everything looked new and modern with this sort of tropical twist to it, it was just the most amazing thing ever. So I really liked being here initially for that. WeChat, the way we pay for everything electronically, like there's just a lot of cool stuff here that you wouldn't find back home. But after a while, this was my fault. Initially when coming here, I was kind of in a rush to come here because London was getting a bit boring for me. I would spend a lot of my time hanging out around Shoreditch, Westminster, just all around the big places in London. So I was in a rush to see something new. So when I came here, I didn't renew my passport. My passport had enough time on it. I had 1.5 years on it, but it was a little bit damaged. So basically I got through most of the stuff, but I needed to end up renewing it. This caused me so many issues for like the whole 4-month period. Every single day off I had to go to this place in Shenzhen or another place. I went to Guangzhou on in three different separate occasions just to sort out this passport issue. And when you tackle that with some of the China stuff that you have to deal with, it made it agonizing for me. People here are nice, I think, in terms of hospitality when you go to restaurants. But a problem that people have here, I think, is that when it comes to anything to do with transportation, it totally changes. So in the UK, we have a rule. If it's a green light, you kind of stop if you're a car or if you're a bike. Here, they will continue to go, and they'll kind of, my friend in Guangzhou, who came to China a month after me, we described it as if you're playing chicken with cars. Because they will keep going, testing you to see if you'll walk across, and you're like, what is going on? And then when it comes to public transport in London, because I'm a Londoner, instead of the whole wait for everybody to come out of the train first, then you can go on, they will just barge straight on. And I've seen some people laugh at the fact that they're doing this. Some people seem to get entertainment out of this, and I think that was one of the things that annoyed me about being here. Another thing is, as much as I like the food, I missed going to Nando's sometimes, like just the cheeky Nando's, like little things like that were a bit annoying. At work, I love my job and I love how you get to meet new students and they're fun and stuff like that. But I just don't like sometimes how it becomes too much of a business and it's not as much about teaching. So they'll do this thing in my work where they level some students, and some students are clearly not at the right level. Either they're too low or they're too high, and it's purely based on the contract. And it can kind of be irritating when teaching a group class when one person's either really, really good and they shouldn't be there, or one person's lagging a lot behind, and it makes your job really annoying. So at the sort of 2 to 3 month mark, especially since I wasn't seeing my friends, a big thing for me was Comic-Con, and seeing all my friends at Comic-Con and me not being there was just sad. I started to feel a lot of homesickness, and this was probably the most difficult part for me being in China. And I think how I got over it was realizing is whenever I posted up something on Instagram, or whenever I showed people back home what I was doing and they were getting joy from it, that made me realize that I kind of have a purpose to be here in China, to show people back home what it's like, to also inform the locals here of what it's like to be a black person, because some people here have little knowledge out of black people, and some people are almost scared of us even though they like the NBA, which is the weirdest paradox ever. But getting over homesickness is really, you have to be grateful. China so far has taught me that gratitude is the best policy, and when I've started to realize that I'm getting a good wage here, I'm experiencing new things, and everything is new, these things have made me realize that it's worth being here in China. Okay, in terms of the women here, they are very pretty. Aesthetically, I'm attracted to them, but some of them, there's a total value sort of clash between me and them. So one person, sometimes we've gone out to eat at times, and she said some weird comments, like we were at Walmart and she saw another black guy and she said, "Joseph, you know, you're really handsome for a black guy. I've seen the other black guys and you're just very handsome. You're not like that one." And then she made another comment later on, is like, "You know, I didn't know people like you could be attractive." And I was like, "What do you mean by that?" And she kept on saying all of these comments about how it's weird that she thinks I'm not bad looking. And I just thought it was weird, because I almost did want to ask her the question, did you ever have the feeling that a white guy wouldn't not be attractive? Why is it that there's this barometer to where black people can't be seen as attractive? That was weird to me. In terms of other experiences, one time I was at my local supermarket and there was this girl that was smiling at me. She smiled and I was like, "Oh cool, she's kind of pretty." And then she did a double take and smiled again. So I went out of the shop, I bought what I wanted to, did my little WeChat scan, and then she's like, "Can I have your WeChat?" I started talking to her a bit and she seemed cool. So I went home and then all of a sudden she's like, "Let's hang out." We hung out and we had actually a pretty cool sort of date sort of thing. We walked around the park, we did a little bit of improv dancing because there were some people square dancing. But all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, I want to see your apartment and you can see my apartment." And that's where things kind of got weird. Things were weird before that, but things got really weird. So I should have took this as sort of a cautionary sort of thing when she sent me a picture of Obama with Asian people and then started saying, "Are you Obama?" But sometimes when you're here for 3 to 4 months and nothing's happening, you just kind of take a chance on things. So I took a chance on this, and she was just, there was a point where she was just staring at me and saying, "Your eyes are so big, your nose is so big." And she wouldn't say anything. And then when I would talk to her and say, "Okay," and she would just stare at me. And it was like I was this human experiment. And then she did this weird thing where she got me an ice cream. She's like, "Do you want an ice cream?" And I was like, "Sure." She got me an ice cream and then started taking a photo shoot of us and the ice cream. And I'm like, "Why?" And then she posted it, I think, on Weibo or something like that. And it was just a weird sort of experience. With women here, so far from what I've seen, because it isn't just Chinese girls, there's non-Chinese girls. So, because I live in Shirko, where a lot of foreigners are. So if you go to Baya or certain places, they're foreigner hotspots. In terms of the women here, I feel as though if I do want to date, I'm probably gonna have to date a foreigner, because a lot of the Chinese girls, they act kind of weird. Their parents might not approve even if they like me, because some have liked me, but kind of, whenever it's come to public, they've kind of shied away from it. You could kind of feel that. It would just be complicated. And another thing I have to say about the women thing, this is actually probably the most important point, is whenever I'm even with a female friend that I'm not dating, it's just someone I'm a friend with, I feel as though Chinese guys are constantly staring at me like, why are you taking our women? I get like these evil sort of stares, even when I'm just with a woman as a friend. And I just don't like being watched like that, when people are like watching me. Because I like to confront people and say hello, ni hao, and stuff like that whenever they do stare at me. And if I was dating a Chinese girl, I think I would get that too much. So I don't know what I'm gonna do in terms of dating with Chinese girls. I think I might go to more of the foreign side, but we'll see. I think overall, even though there's some weird things with being a black person here, I think there are overall some positive things to it. And I want to take a chance to kind of capitalize on that. Because even if we are in Shenzhen, which is one of the 4 big cities in China, there is still a sparse, like a small amount of black people in this city. So when people do see you, they either have a really adverse reaction, which sometimes you have to be careful with that, because the reaction they have doesn't tell what they're thinking. So actually, I'll explain what I mean by that. Sometimes people give you an adverse weird stare and smile, and because of the way I am, I like to confront people. Sometimes these have been the people that have helped me. They're just like shocked and happy. Sometimes people have been smiling at me and then have tried to do weird things. Like one time I was at a club and there was a guy smiling at me and he's like grabbing me and trying to dance with me. It was really weird, even though he was smiling. So being a foreigner here, you're rare. And sometimes people show hospitality towards you. So I was at one of the other centers and there was a mistake that was made when I was ordering something. It says on the menu that if you buy one of these things, it's a certain price, but really it means if you buy 4, it's a certain price. I didn't know this, and because of the restaurant thought it was their fault, they paid for the whole meal, and they gave some of like the people next to me that helped me out with this problem, they gave them free stuff too. This has happened before, like free food has been given to me before on like 3 or 4 separate different occasions. Students as well, that's a big thing. The students are really, really appreciative. They will like sometimes invite you out to KTV. They will like, if they're doing something, like one of my students had a drone and he was flying it around Shenzhen. He said, oh, come along and see Shenzhen with me. And then we went to like a really awesome hot pot place near SeaWorld, and he paid for the whole thing, even though I was like, no, I'll pay. They want to be openly sort of friendly towards you, because this is maybe the only time where they do see a foreigner. Sometimes you can play the foreigner stupid card and people will baby you. Like I'm at Walmart and they know I've been to Walmart before because I have my WeChat connected to my Walmart app, and I wouldn't be able to have that if I wasn't at Walmart before. But they will just rush in to help me pack my bags for me and do it for me. And it's annoying sometimes, because sometimes I want to be an adult and do things by myself, but it's cool that they do reach out. And also, this is a sort of funny one. The other day I was recording a live stream. Basically, I found that because you are the foreigner, they'll give you a pass to be stupid. Because while I was doing this live stream, I was in a bread shop, just saying like random stuff, talking to people, and everyone was laughing and having fun with it, because they're like, oh, it's just the foreigner recording a vlog. So like if I'm recording things, because sometimes I do YouTube, no one bothers me. In fact, they actually want to get involved in the video and say, hey. So I feel as though you can get a lot of negativity here being a black person. And I think you should take advantage of the positive sides and try not to focus too much on the negative, because if you do, you'll just want to leave China. 3 words of advice for anyone that's trying to come to China. First one, very important, come with enough money. So when getting my apartment, I found out that things were very different to the way things worked in London. In London, you would have to put down a 1-month deposit and then pay rent. I found out, because I'm renting with a place called Z Room, I had to pay 1 year service charge, which was like 1 month of rent, 3 months up front, and then another month deposit. So altogether, my first month in China, I had to pay 5 months worth of rent just for me to get into my apartment. Factoring in the fact that I'm in Shenzhen, which is one of the more expensive cities, I just didn't have enough money to survive the first month. So my mom had to borrow me like £400 extra. And then even then, the last couple of days, I had to live on that sort of instant noodles life, which was a funny thing at work because I was like, here's breakfast, here's lunch, here's dinner. Come with enough money because it's cheap overall, but the initial costs of being here aren't cheap. 5 months, dudes. Another thing, have a thick skin. People here will stare at you. People here will say weird and random things. But the best thing you can do is develop yourself, tackle any insecurities you have, and develop a thick skin so that you can use this to be a better person. I think this is great being in China because it's provided me with a lot of character growth in the last 4 months. I feel like I've gone through a whole saga of adventures just being here for 4 months. So have a thick skin. When people are staring, don't let it ruin your day. If they don't like you, it only becomes your problem when you start caring about it. So don't worry about it too much. And the third and final thing is, don't let your job take advantage of you. I got into a situation with my workplace where they wanted to fine me 2,000 RMB for punching in and punching out. I missed a couple of punch-ins and they wanted to fine me 2,100 RMB. And let me just put that into perspective for everybody. So my rent in Shenzhen at the moment is 2,300. They wanted to charge me the equivalent of 1 month of rent. Yes, I know I get paid more than that, but they wanted to charge me 1 month of rent for not signing in and signing out. And if you put that into perspective, going back to London, where the rent might be 700 to 800 pounds for what I've got, no company would charge you that amount of money for missing a couple of punch-ins. Bearing in mind that I already work overtime for them sometimes, and all of the students there like me. None of the students are like, oh, we hate Joseph. They always want to stay behind on my lesson. So I'm a valued employee there, and they wanted to charge me like just randomly. So what I decided to do, I was like, okay guys, if you want to charge me, I'm not gonna come into work tomorrow. And at first they were like, okay, whatever, we're still gonna charge you. And I literally went in and walked to my TA and said, look, if you don't sort out this problem, I'm not coming into work tomorrow. So you better sort out the problem. So they talked to one of the higher up guys. He's like, we're still gonna charge you. And I said to him, you know what? We're gonna sort this out by the end of today. If I don't get my money back, I'm in China. There's so many opportunities for me. I can walk out anyway. So you're gonna give me back my money or I'm gonna leave. So at the end of the day, they were acting all tough saying that they weren't gonna give me back my money. But by the end of the day, everything that I said that they should do, they kept on saying, yep, yep, yep. Because they realize, and you guys should realize this too, especially if you're from the Empire, if you're from the UK, or if you're from the US, you are valuable here. There's so many different training centers here. Like literally in the shopping center where I work, there's 3 training centers. 4 actually. Yeah, 4 training centers in the shopping center I work. And you could walk into any one of them for the most part if they're a big company and get a job. Don't let your company take advantage of you because you can walk out and find something new, especially if you have the qualifications to be here. If you have a degree, if you have a TEFL, if you're a native speaker, you shouldn't be taken advantage of. Okay, so if you want to see more of me, you can look me up on YouTube. My YouTube channel is Diary of a Black Nerd. I'm really into anime, so I named it that. My Instagram, if you type in Joseph Adetifa, Joseph Adetifa, you should find me, and my handle will be Diary of a Black Nerd as well. I've enjoyed this experience, so stay tuned for another episode. I'm sure it'll be great. That's it from me. Bye.